And here we are with part 4 of box 2 of my 45 RPM records collection. And for those that watched part 3, no surprise, we're starting up with Vehicle by the Ides of March. You might not recognize that by the title, but I'm your vehicle, baby. Take you anywhere you want to go. It's a big song, huge song. I do believe it was a one-hit wonder for them. I don't think they had another hit, but they might have. But this is a song that I know them for, and I'm really happy to have this 45 in my collection because it's a really great 45. And on the B side of that is obviously something that I'm not going to recognize right off by the title, Laid Me Home Gently. Could have very well been on the album, and I do have the original album, the original Ides of March album. But like I said, I really know it for that song Vehicle. And if you noticed, I put it in the right sleeve because the next one coming up, this one was in a plain white sleeve. So I put Jeff Healey back in the white sleeve, and we'll put the Ides of March in its original sleeve. Philips Mercury Phonogram Incorporated, and that is not what I've got here. I have got a really, really special one, an original wooden nickel edition of Styx Lady. I shouldn't have to sing that one for anybody because that was their biggest early song, and I believe it's what got them. Wooden Nickel was a local, I believe, local label around the area that they came from, and they ended up on RCA, or well, they ended up on A&M, and I believe the song Lady had a big part to do with that. And it was on Styx 2. They did 4 albums before they signed with A&M, and they all had some interesting tracks. Plexiglass Toilet comes to mind, if any of you are real familiar with Styx. It wasn't even listed on the album, but it was at the end of the cut of the side, and it was a surprise, the first time I ever heard it. But anyways, it was fun song. Goes more along with the novelty records kind of stuff, which we're going to get into some of those here a little later, because almost every box I ever end up with, everybody likes novelty songs. Everybody's got some in their collection. So if you're buying a box of random 45s off of somebody that was from their childhood or from one of their relatives' childhood, you're usually going to come up with a few novelty songs in there. But the B-side of this, Children of the Land, short version. Really cool to have this because it's only 3 minutes and 17 seconds long. And on the Styx 2 album, it's considerably longer than that. And probably the only place you're going to hear that is on this 45. I do believe this is an original from 1971. So it's a real gem in the collection. This was a real, you flip through that one in the box and you're like, oh yeah! And I don't believe I bought that one individually. I believe that one came in a box that I bought. And here's a really cool promo 45 to have. Rush, Finding My Way from 1974. That was off their first album. This is a good Rush 45 to have. Although it's not one that has an unreleased B-side track, there was at least one, if not 2, early Rush 45s that have non-album B-sides. But this is an edited version again, 2 minute 55 seconds long. This would be another good one to throw on the turntable. And if you're a Rush fan like me, or you're familiar with the song, it'd probably be really interesting to hear. Now you wonder what's on the B side of this? It's the exact same, except for it doesn't have the black star. So kind of interesting. But that gives you a nice shot of the label without the black star or a price tag on it. You can clearly see that promotional copy not for sale on this side of the label. But it's the exact same. It's still the 255-minute edit of it. It's still in stereo, as was side 1, which is kind of surprising because going back to 74, there were still a lot of AM record stations. So I'm surprised that one of these sides didn't end up being a mono version. But... And, sticking with the Rush theme, we've got Take Off by Bob and Doug McKenzie. Yes, this is definitely a novelty record. I remember hearing this on Dr. Demento too, which I keep bringing up Dr. Demento, but when you start talking about novelty records and stuff, he was the king. I mean, we used to listen to Dr. Demento show every week when I was growing up. And so he's going to come up in these discussions. It's unavoidable. But Take Off actually has Geddy Lee on vocals. Take off to the great white north and take off. You know, and Bob and Doug McKenzie, you know, you probably know them from Second City or you know, later. Rick Moranis was part of that. And the B-side of this is Elron McKenzie. I'm sure I listened to it when I got it, but doesn't ring a bell, doesn't come to mind. It might be a song, it might be a vocal track, being that they were a comedy duo, so no telling. But that's what's on the B-side there for you. Now we got another great demo disc from Boston, Feeling Satisfied. And this is off the second album, Don't Look Back. Of course, they didn't want you to look back because it sounded almost just like the first album, but hey, I loved Boston, especially those first two albums. They were great. And this is stereo on the A side, and here we've got the wonderful mono version. You ever hear the mono version of Feeling Satisfied? Yeah, that would be really cool to throw on, see whether or not it's a different mix or there's anything really different about it other than being mono. But and we've discussed that plenty about how some mono versions are considerably different from the stereo versions. They're at least different mixes, if not having some different recorded parts or different recorded sound effects. But I'm really happy to have this 45 in my collection. It takes me back to the 70s. And next up, that's an interesting label, huh? Old Gold Records and Tapes. The original hit recording. So that's telling you right there that we're probably talking about some reissues. And we got a price receipt there from August 30th, 2013. Marijuana Polka. We're definitely talking about a novelty song here, and one that I don't recognize. Will Barnes, Armadillo Country. Yeah, not ringing any bells at all, but they've got an address of P.O. Box 2, McKinney, Texas. So, probably a local label. Who knows? But Marijuana Polka, I had to buy that title like that. That's just funny. Just the title's funny. And she ran off with Buck. Now, was Buck his best friend, or who the heck was Buck? Apparently, he lost his girlfriend to her. From the LP, No Place But Texas. Yeah. Interesting. Moving on. We've got another classic one here, but this is a reissued version of it. Blue Cheer doing Summertime Blues, the old Eddie Cochran song. And here is another prime example to me of where a remake far surpassed the original. To me, this is the definitive version of Summertime Blues. Ain't no cure. But Blue Cheer, they rocked that song up. And I even have a bootleg recording of Jimi Hendrix doing it. And he heard the Blue Cheer version. It wasn't Eddie Cochran, I think, that he was trying to copy. He was playing it much more the way Blue Cheer played it. And here's an example where someone wrote on the labels. I don't really necessarily hate that. It's nice to have the information that it hit number 14 on the charts in March of 1968, but I wish they would have printed it on the label instead. And you've also got it noted here that it was originally released in January of 68, so apparently it took 2 weeks to hit its top of the chart. But the B-side here is We Ain't Got Nothing Yet by the Blue Mangoes. So I would bet money this was produced for a jukebox. It's definitely a celebrity series. And it's, again, originally released in November of 66, but hit number 5 in January of 67. I don't recognize this song, not from the title. Maybe if I put it on. I bought it for Blue Cheer, and I do believe that I've got an original copy of the Blue Cheer Summertime Blues somewhere in my collection as well. And one more here. We got time for Genesis, Misunderstanding on Atlantic Records. And this is where, somebody did do a post-it note noting that it came out in 6/21/1980. Misunderstanding hit number 14. But they decided to write it on the label too, or maybe somebody else wrote it on the label and they put it on the post-it. But it won't stop me from buying a copy of a 45 because I Still Want It, and you're not going to hear what's written on the label when you're hearing the song. B-side of that was Behind the Lines, also from Duke, which I believe Misunderstanding was from Duke. Yes, it notes that it was from Duke as well. So both those are just album tracks. And so that's going to wrap it up for us on, was that part 4? Yeah, I think that was part 4. Losing track here. Be back in a bit with part 5.